Hello everyone, it's Jake again, and today's kind of a bittersweet day. It's bitter because the trial that I've been on for the Dexcom G7 is over, but the sweet part is that I no longer have 4 sensors in my stomach, which means that I can finally put my Dexcom G6 back in. And I know a lot of you guys do wear it in your arm. I'm not courageous enough to try that yet. I'm fairly new to the system. Another sweet part is I get paid for the time that I put in for this trial, and this trial paid very well. So I'm excited to get that check. And I'm sure you guys would love to hear about the Dexcom G7, and trust me, I would love more than anything to share what I've learned about it. But I signed a non-disclosure agreement, so I'm not able to, and they specifically mentioned that I can't vlog about it. I will just read this quote by Kevin Sayer, the CEO of Dexcom. It really is spectacular. The wearable is pretty much non-existent on your body. As I look at projects we've started and innovation that we've attempted during my term at this company, this is the biggest leap we've ever taken, and it's a huge leap. And I'll just say this, he is not lying. But yeah guys, so I switched from the Freestyle Libre to the Dexcom G6. And it seems like a lot of people are kind of making the opposite move. They're switching from the Dexcom G6 to the Freestyle Libre. And actually, when I was first looking into the Libre, they were running a promotion where they were giving Dexcom users free Freestyle Libre scanners. Dexcom diehard fans might kill me for saying this, but I kind of understand why. The Freestyle Libre there's a lot of benefit and switching to that, the primary one being financial, but there's some other things as well. It's kind of ironic, but during this trial I was doing for the Dexcom G7, the number of people in the trial who were using Freestyle Libres vastly outweighed the numbers of people using Dexcom G6. And again, sorry Dexcom fans, but I totally get it. Like, the Freestyle Libre has so much to offer, and there's good reasons why I picked it in the first place. So here's my story and my experience. I mentioned in my last video, which if you haven't seen that yet, you should definitely go watch that. I got off the 670G system, and a couple weeks after, I really missed it. And it hit me that, while I did miss auto mode, the big factor in me having less control over my blood sugar was that I didn't know what my blood sugar was. I was just doing finger sticks, and I was doing 4 or 5 times a day, but that left a lot of time where I just didn't know, and so my blood sugars were definitely less in control. So it hit me very fast that I needed to get on a CGM. And originally, with my experience with Dexcom, and I had read a lot of reviews about how great the Dexcom G6 was, I naturally leaned towards Dexcom, did a lot of research on the G6, thought it looked good, but it was a little pricey, and I just noticed that so many people were using the Freestyle Libre, so I did some research in that, and I was impressed. The big thing for me here was price, definitely. I have incredible insurance, and since I met my deductible, I only have a 15% copay. But even just paying that 15% copay, the difference between the Libre and the Dexcom was pretty sizable, enough to definitely get me to use the Libre. Like, if all went well and all the sensors lasted 14 days, then the Libre was going to be cheaper to use than just testing my blood sugar 4 times with the generic Walmart test strips. So obviously I got on the Libre, had my doctor call in prescription, picked it up. I inserted my first one. I was a little daunting. I didn't know what to expect, but the insertion was a piece of cake. I don't know if this was just me. It stung a little bit just right after insertion, but it wasn't anything too unbearable. So yeah, I got my first sensor in, and it was awesome. I loved it. The app was super great. It was super insightful. It gave you all these insights on trends and stuff, and like, it told you your average blood sugar for the last 24 hours. It was great. And like, Bluetooth is more practical, but there's just something so satisfying about scanning and getting a blood sugar. So it was great. So I put that first sensor on after I had just gotten out of the shower after a run. So it was probably 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock at night. Everything was good. I made it through the night, no problem. I was scanning it all day at work the next day. but then about 9 o'clock rolled around the next night, and I went and played basketball, and it fell out during basketball. So the first sensor lasted probably about 26 hours. So I was playing in a gym with no air conditioning, and it was late summer. It was very hot, and I was very sweaty. So I was hoping that this was kind of just a fluke thing. I called the freestye libre customer service the next day, and they were awesome. They sent me a free sensor, as well as some information on how I can make the sensor stick better. I read those tips, and I did a second sensor the next day, and that one lasted 4 days. And I started noticing a problem. I tried one more, and that one actually lasted 8 days, which was by far the longest lasting one. And so it just hit me. I was like, I got to do something different here. And as you guys know, I'm super active. I run a lot. I play basketball a lot. Honestly, I sweat a lot. So I was like, okay, I got to do something different here. So I said to myself, I was like, I'm going to do everything perfect on this sensor. So I put some skin tech. I put the sensor in, and then I did more skin tech and put an adhesive cover over it. And that sensor lasted 5 days. And keep in mind, I wasn't doing anything really crazy. Yes, I was sweating a lot, but it wasn't getting bumped. It wasn't brushing up against anything that would tear it off. It was just falling off. Even that sensor where I used the skin tech and used the extra adhesive, it actually stayed in place, but it maybe just got knocked loose or something because it wouldn't give me readings after I played basketball one night. So I was spending a lot of time calling the freestye libre support team, and I gotta say, they were actually super awesome. They were always super friendly and super helpful, and they sent me a lot of free sensors, and they kept trying to give me advice, and nothing seemed to work. And so I was kind of at a loss as to what to do with that, because obviously I knew that they weren't just indefinitely going to give me free sensors. So I started exploring different options. I actually took a break because I started the G7 trial. But during that time off, I was doing research, and I thought I had figured out some new things that I could try. So I put a new sensor in, using all my new tricks and stuff. And I go to scan it with my phone to start it, and all it did was open up to a white screen. So I have a Google Pixel, which means that I get Android software updates the day that they come out. So in between the time that I had not been using sensors, my phone had updated Android 10, and it made the app just completely incompatible, I guess. None of my other apps had any problems except Jack in the Box. But you know what? Jack in the Box is not that important. The freestye libre is. And an app that important, having it just not work was so frustrating. And it'd be one thing if Google had just out of the blue released Android 10, no heads up. That would be excusable. But Google had been releasing developer previews of Android 10 for months. And I guess Freestyle just decided to ignore those. So keep in mind, when I got the system, I didn't actually get the reader. I just got the sensors, and I was just planning on using my phone. So I had just put a new sensor in, and I had no way to scan it. So I called up freestye libre, and of course, they sent me a new sensor. And he did recommend that I get the reader so that I could continue to use the system. But something you guys might not know about me is I am extremely cheap, and even there's $10 copay that I'd have to pay to get the sensor. That really bothered me. $10 really bothered me that much. But really the big issue here was that I was going to need to carry around another device. And as a diabetic, I carry around a lot of devices, and just having to carry one more, it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. So by the time a week rolled around and the app still wasn't updated to work, I just figured I was done. I was done with the system. I realized that at, average sensor life of 4 days, at the cost per sensor at 4 days, it was going to total up to as much as the G6 was going to cost. And that was assuming that my insurance would pay for new sensors every 4 days, which they definitely would not. And really, them just taking so long to update the app just frustrated me so bad. And it was a good 3 weeks before they finally rolled out an update that let it work with Android 10. So yeah, I switched to the Dexcom G6, and after a couple sensors, I gotta say, I totally love it. It's been great. It's been very accurate. Not that the Freestyle Libre was inaccurate, but it was as far as lows. It would give me a lot of false lows. That issue's just gone away since I've been on the Dexcom G6. I love that there's Dexcom Follow. Dexcom Follow, which lets my wife and my parents see my blood sugar and also get alarms when my blood sugar is dangerously low. That combined with Life 360 can literally save my life. I love that you can do calibrations. This was another big frustration for the Freestyle Libre is, I would have a sensor that would always be running a little high and I couldn't calibrate it. So it always had me second guessing, is this reading accurate or am I just a little bit lower? And, it affected my dosage decisions. I love that you can calibrate the G6, which, side tangent, isn't calibration just calibrating the algorithm that reads the sensor? Like, why can't you calibrate the Freestyle Libre? I don't know. I've had a lot of fun. I set up a Night Scout server. I had set it up so that my smart speaker can read me my blood sugar readings when I ask it to. I set it up with Xtrip. I have all kinds of widgets and everything going. It's been fun. But above all else, the sensors are actually staying on. They're actually working. And that's without having to use skin tack or anything. They're just staying on. And that's been great. I did have one sensor only last 9 days. That's acceptable. But I did get some over patches, so I'm actually going to this is going to be my first sensor that I tried to extend past the first 10 days. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. So yeah, guys, that's my experience. And, it's not intended to be medical information. Do not treat it as medical advice. Do your own research. This video is just my experience for entertainment purposes only. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, guys, please, this is a fairly new channel. Please like and subscribe. Maybe drop a comment down below. And again, give me ideas for videos. If there's topics you guys want me to cover, please just leave it down in the comments. I want to make videos that you guys want to watch. And speaking of that, I am considering doing Android APS. I actually have already made the APK. If any of you guys have any experience with that, or Loop, or Open APS, any kind of, non-FDA approved artificial pancreas, please leave a comment down below. Let me know your experience, any advice that you have. That'd be fantastic. Anyways, until next time, guys, thanks for watching.